Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening tutorial stream. How's everyone doing out there on the internet? Blue Jay, I'm so sorry to hear that you're having a rough day. Um, that sucks. Really sucks. But I'm so happy that you're here with us. And you know what? If you fall asleep, you fall asleep. Also, hey look! Found the microphones. They were in a completely random place. And I would never have found them by looking for them. I just found them by accident. But we have microphones back, so that's good. And that's going to be especially useful for the button list, which is going to be after this tutorial stream this evening. You do get to live in, well, on the side of my boob. You're like in my side boob, instead of like right in the middle of them. So tonight's tutorial is a wire kilt pin. This is actually a really easy and quick one. So I shouldn't keep you too long with that. And then we'll be on to the button list, which is going to be the Affair of the Diamond Necklace, a story about Marie Antoinette and a lot of other shady people. Like, real shady. So let's go ahead and start with the tutorial though. So what do you need to make this? First you need to get your keyboard off your work surface. You're going to need some 18 gauge wire, and I realize this is like the mankiest spool of 18 gauge wire ever, but it doesn't matter, it'll still work. You're going to need some beads, and I've got some pretty green glass beads that I'm going to be using. I swear I need to fix this jacked up camera setup one of these days. So you can use however many beads you want. Basically the length of your beaded length is going to be the length of your pin. So if you want a shorter pin, then use fewer beads. You also have to make sure that the holes in the beads are big enough to fit your 18 gauge wire, and not every bead will do that, so you do have to be a little careful with your choices. I know, right? Well, what one should do, and what doesn't always happen here at the Beading Dreams, is as soon as while you're cutting your wire, like hold it and then tuck the cut end into one of the little holes on the spool that's meant to hold it. However, that's not always feasible. Something that I've had a lot of luck with stringing cable is Velcro strips, and I bet you can get them in this width. But so you put a Velcro strip around your wire, and then you can literally just pull the wire out from under the strip, and then the strip keeps it in place. So I'm going to cut myself about, I'm just going to go ahead and start with a foot of wire because this is bronze, and so it's not that expensive, and I'm probably going to wind up cutting some of it off, but better too much than not enough. And so the way that this, thank you, I was very happy for myself when I had it. I don't know why it took me 17 years to think of it, but sometimes, that's just how it goes. So now what I'm doing is I'm just pulling my wire straight with my fingers. I'll go back to the bigger scene for that. So I want to get, it's going to be easier for me if I get most of these kinks out. And this one I think I'm actually going to have to squish out with my pliers. And then I'm just holding my wire in my pliers and just running it down my fingers to kind of smooth out all of those kinks. Because the less kinky your wire is, the easier it's going to be to work with. No kink shaming, just facts. Also, it's been a hot minute since I taught this class, so I'm going to pull up my sample so that I do it properly. Oh, and I need two end beads. I'll be right back. Okay, hopefully these fit. And I'll explain why the end beads are important in a minute. Because they do have a purpose. End bead, I just mean at each end of my row of pretty beads, I need one kind of smaller hold bead. And again, I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. Hi, Corvus. How are you? How's everything? All right, so the way that this is gonna get, and I'm just gonna pull up this photo so that you guys can kind of see it since I don't have a sample. So this is the project. So the way that it's gonna get, focus for Christ's sake. There we go. So the way we're gonna construct it is we're gonna start at the pointy end, and then we're gonna go all the way up and around, do the beads, and then do the clasp last. Yay for the heat going down. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make the pointy end. So I'm going to grab my file. And I like to use bigger files for this because it goes much faster than using a small file. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to start filing it to a point. Now, I will say that this project, since I'm doing it with 18 gauge wire, it's not quite as stiff and sturdy as if you were doing it with like 16 gauge wire, but you can use more beads. So this is definitely something that works better on kind of a wider, looser weave rather than something really tight. But by that same token, it's thick enough that like if you put it through like a light cotton or something, it's gonna punch a hole right through it. That may or may not go away. So all I'm doing is just filing at an angle and then continually rotating my wire so that all of my angles come together and form a point. Don't tell Heather that. She'll just drop everything and run at this point. It's 60 degrees in Edmonton. I'll be right there. Told you. I'm walking. Don't get far because it's not 60 degrees. No. Okay. So now I've got a point that's like not super duper sharp, but that's sharp enough to just push through like a looser weave clothing. Blue Jay says hi. And then what you might want to do, what I like to do, if I can find some, is I like to take some, sorry, that's my arm. But I like to just sand this just because it can be a little rough after the filing and you don't want to snag your clothes or someone else's clothes with it. I had that out for a reason. So here is tricky part number 1, is we need because this is the pin end, so this is this part right here, that needs to be the same length as the length of your beads. So I'm going to take my beads and I'm going to lay them out. Of course, that one's not going to stay because it's going to be a jerk. Oh, it's never happened to me either. I don't know what you're talking about, Blue Jay. I've got a healing burn on my left hand right now. So yes, we're back to 0 days without an incident. Okay, so I'm just going to put these on this piece of wire because these rondelle beads that I've chosen to use are a bit of a pain in the ass because they don't want to stand up. So I'm just going to make myself a little mock-up of my pattern. Okay, so that's my pattern. So that's going to be the pretty part of my pin. So what I need to do is I need to take my stabby part. Does it need to be a little bit longer? No, it doesn't. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take my stabby part that I just made, and I'm just going to line it up with the end here. Okay, so that's how long that needs to be. So you can mark it if you want to, but you don't have to. I am going to, just so that I know. Okay, so I just made a little bitty mark there. So now I know how long this part needs to be. Now I'm going to make the spring for our pin, and I'm going to do that using a round nose pliers, and it's really simple. Oh my gosh. Uh, yeah, iron burns are terrible. So many years ago, I was ironing topless because I was ironing the shirt that I was going to put on. And so I got myself on the stomach with the iron. So I'm at the gynecologist and she looks at it, she goes, appendix? And I said, topless ironing. And she said, oh. Oh, can somebody vanillate that person bot thingy? But yeah, it's iron burns are bad. Soldering iron burns are also bad. It took forever for that one to heal. You can barely see the scar now, but that took forever. Thank you, Corvus. You're amazing with your bananating sword skills. Okay, so now it's time to make the spring, which, like I said, is really, really easy. I'm just going to find my mark. There it is. And I'm going to grab right below that mark with the fattest part of my round nose pliers. And then I'm going to take the long piece of wire. Okay, so this is the stabby bit. This is the bit that we've measured out. And I'm going to take the rest of it and I'm going to just go around my pliers. And when you get to this right angle place, what you have to do is you've got to loosen your pliers and rotate them so that you can keep spinning. So what's happening here is what I don't want to do is I don't want to continue to bend my wire over the second jaw of my pliers. I want to keep it only around this one. So once again, I've reached a place where I can't go any further. So I'm just going to loosen my pliers, rotate them back, spin a little bit more. God, it's really hard to do. Let me see if I can do it left hand. It's hard to do this and show it to the camera. Spin a little bit more. I'm almost there. Just going to loosen my pliers, bring them back, and spin a little bit more so that what I have looks basically like a safety pin. And I'm just going to zhuzh it a little bit. There we go. So that's what we want. That's our spring, and that's what's going to give us the tension to hold our kilt pin closed. All right, so now I'm going to put on my beads. So the reason that we need the ooh, oh no, oh right, okay, so this is why the end beads are important because, and especially on the top, because on the bottom it's not as likely, but when we get to the top, sometimes the big hole beads will kind of try and sneak around, and that just winds up being awkward looking. Okay, so we've got our end bead on, and then I'm just going to pop all the rest of my beads on in the pattern that I had laid out. I hate burns. Burns are the freaking worst. As long as I'm not like cutting off an actual finger, I would so much rather have a cut than a burn any day. Okay, so made my stabby bit too long. That's okay. Okay, so the stabby bit should line up with the top of this, and it does not. So we're just going to fix that. I'm going to take those off, and I'm going to move, you guys stay there. I'm going to move my spring. And all you got to do that is just rotate the other side around and then unrotate the first side. And it may require a little bit of zhuzhing with the pliers, but now what I've done is I've shortened this part. So now let's see what the length is like. Oh, so close, but so far. Okay, one more time. So again, to shorten it, I'm just going to take the pointy one and rotate that around, and then take the other one and derotate it, unrotate it. And so see how it looks kind of weird now? So that's what I said, zhuzhing with the chain nose pliers. I'm just going to kind of straighten that out and line everything back up again so that it looks like it's supposed to. So the moral of the story here is do a better job at measuring than me, because this is a bit of a pain in the ass. Okay, so third time's a charm, we hope. All right, that I think is going to be close enough right there. All right, so now this is the part where the end bead on the top, hey look, pyrite, is important, because now what we're going to do is we are going to take this top wire and we're going to bend it over and we're going to turn it into a spiral. And I like to just freehand this, but you can also use your pliers to help you on this. And you can make it as freeform or as non-freeform as you like. This one's a little more freeform than the one in my photo. But this is where I said that this bead helps. Oh, well, that is absolutely what I said, and it's not doing it. Okay, forget I said anything. Just curve that over a little bit more. And you can make as many spirals as you want. I'm going to go with 2.5. And I'm going to straighten that out just by squeezing it with my pliers so I get a nicer curve. Okay, so there's my little, mostly freeform spiral. Okay, it's organic. We're gonna go with that. And then I just need to make my receptacle for my actual pin. So all I'm gonna do is trim my wire at the edge of my spiral. And then I'm gonna take my round nose pliers, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip a little hook. And it's a little awkward at this point because everything wants to bend. So just press against your fingers, hold them steady, and bend yourself a little hook. And then if you want to do any zhuzhing, I don't know why that's my word of the day, but apparently that's my word of the day. You can go like that. And then, so this is actually where this is going to clip into. So you want to make sure that actually works. Typically what you have to do is you got to pop it out just a little bit on the back and it'll clip right in there. And then the thing that holds this closed is tension, okay, from the spring. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got your spring nice and tight, and you can even take this wire and bend it backwards to get a little bit of tension on it. And then that way, when you hook it in here, it stays nice and tight. So there you go. That's it. Like I said, super quick and easy wire kilt pin tutorial. You can use any beads you want to. You can use any wire you want to. But it's a really fun one. And like I said, it works really well on any kind of a loose weave. Now what I would do, I think since I didn't do a good job of picking my end beads, and they want to do that, is what I'll probably do is just take a crimp cover and kind of smush it down on there just to make that not move. But yeah, there you go. See? Super easy, super fast. Yeah. 30-minute tutorial. Sometimes they be like that. So, things and stuff. I gotta find things today. So, thank you all for hanging out with me for our wire kilt pin tutorial here on the Beading Dream stream. See, I really need to take care of that. So don't forget, okay, I'm just going to go get that crimp cover right now because this is pissing me off. Okay, so this is what I meant by I'm going to use a crimp cover to fix this. Since we've got some extra time, I might as well just show you. So I'm going to use a crimp cover for a purpose for which it was not intended, but it does work for this purpose. So I have my crimp cover and my pliers, and I'm just going to put it over my wire, and then I'm just going to squeeze it down. And you don't have to smash it. Okay, maybe you have to smash it a little bit. It's just not going my way tonight. So smash it enough that it kind of grips the wire. You know, today was going so well. Sorry, hold on. They're tricking me. There. Okay, so I did wind up smashing the hell out of it, but now it's doing what I needed to do, so yay. So now it's making sure that all of these beads don't just fall onto this spiral. So now see, they're secure. That is what we want. So yeah, quick and easy wire kilt pin, really fun. Fun way to showcase some pretty beads that you have that you might not want to use in a necklace or a bracelet. Also a fun way to use up leftover extra beads. And if you're like a knitter or a crocheter and you're giving a gift, this is a fun thing to give along with your fiber crafted gift, because then they can use it as a shawl pin or whatever. So that's it for the tutorial, y'all. Thank you for hanging out on the Beading Dream stream for that tutorial. Don't forget you can catch us streaming on twitch.tv/Beading Dream with tutorials every Wednesday and Friday, except for next week because we're having a sale. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow night during the sale. And we will be returning shortly with the Buttonless podcast. We're going to be a little early tonight, so please don't forget us. We'll be back in about probably 15-20 minutes with the Buttonless Marie Antoinette, The Affair of the Diamond Necklace. And you can find the Buttonless weekly live here at twitch.tv/Beading Dream, and also released weekly-ish on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. So I'm going to try and get my talker together, as there's going to be a lot of talking in the podcast. I'm going to let you all take a break, and we will see you all in about 20 minutes back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. So that's 7:30. That's earlier than we normally go on. So don't linger. Come back. We'll see you then.